Here's why you should use saturation on your vocals. Saturation is something that is very misunderstood in the amateur music production community because for many people it is something negative or bad for the quality and cleanliness of your sound in general. Or for many others, saturation is only something that is used on electric guitars in rock music. If you are one of those people who think that way, my only advice for you is to watch the rest of this video because you will learn a lot about the richness of saturation in music mixing. What's up YouTube, it's IDs, I hope you're doing good. Today in this video I'm going to talk about the use of saturation in vocal mixing. I'm going to tell you about first what is saturation exactly, why you should start using saturation on your vocals, and how to use it for the best results. Before we start, I'd like to let you know that in the description you can download a free ebook on all the basics of vocal mixing in the world of pop and hip-hop music. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you're the first one to know every time I release new content, videos, and tips about music mixing. Let's get started. If you sometimes listen to pop music, and especially the biggest hits that flood the radio and play 24/7 in your ears, you've probably already noticed that in most of these songs, the vocals are like super robust and powerful. The best examples are, I don't know, Post Malone, Justin Bieber, Dua Lipa, Ava Max. There is something that goes beyond just good compression and EQ, and that something is saturation. But before we go any further into the why and the how, let me explain first what audio saturation really is. In the field of audio, saturation initially comes from the analog world. If you take a preamp, a console, or a tape recorder, actually anything that is analog and that is meant to receive sounds, and that you drive them too loud, too high for what they can handle, you will start to hear the sound distort and crackle, and that's what's called saturation. But technically, what happens to make the signal distort like that? To explain this as clearly as possible, we need to analyze this situation from two angles. Firstly, with its waveform, and secondly, with its frequency spectrum. By the way, what I'm going to explain here is purely theoretical and very simplified. The reality is always more complex, but this will allow you to understand more easily. Let's take this very basic signal as an example, and let's say that the limit that the preamp can handle is right here. Theoretically, what will happen is that the device will make the waveform of the signal more square, like this. And in audio, a square signal means a more harmonically rich signal. But what exactly are harmonics? Let's go to the frequency spectrum analysis to explain it more easily. Here is our signal. It is the same as the one we had in waveform. As you can see and hear, it's a very simplistic signal. Let's add some saturation to see what happens. The more saturation I add, the more pronounced the harmonics become. And that's exactly why saturation is so interesting in music mixing, especially with vocals. Because saturation will make the signal richer, warmer, fuller, without even going through EQ or compression. By using saturation sparingly, you will also make your signal more robust and stronger in the mix. Saturation is usually something that will allow the signal to either stand out slightly from the rest of the mix, or for elements like vocals, for example, to really cut through the mix. And again, you don't have to push it like crazy to get a good result. In vocal mixing, just a touch of saturation is usually enough to really add that power that is the beauty of saturation in vocal mixing. So to make a long story short, to answer the question of why, it would be that it can give a richness to the signal that is simply, to me, impossible to obtain with a more classic tool like an EQ or a compressor. Saturation is really the only audio effect that can make a signal literally richer in terms of frequency. Let me show you now how I usually process my vocals with saturation. By the way, this is the way I use saturation in my chain, but obviously you don't have to use saturation in the exact same way. I actually have 3 stages of saturation in my vocal chain. The first one is here at the end of my virtual mix rack from Slate Digital. The second one is here, it's Vitamin from Waves, and the last one is right after. In this case, it's Saturn 2 from FabFilter, but sometimes it's Decapitator from Soundtoys, which is, by the way, also an amazing plugin for harmonic enhancement. You will hear when I play the vocals that each plugin or module brings something very subtle to the vocals, but that the combination of the three is just magical. Let's take a look at my first saturation stage. This is a virtual mix rack module called New York. It's meant to give more aggressiveness to the signal, but also a little more air and thickness. In fact, what I'm looking for through this module is to create the richness of a voice that would have been recorded with a preamp such as Neve or SSL, which unfortunately I don't have in my studio.
That's a bummer. Okay.
Let's hear how it sounds with and without this New York module.
Well, I can accommodate. Keep it simple, let's not complicate. I'm always dizzer at our dinner dates. She have to pick between me and cheesecake. She choosing me. It's an easy decision, babe. Well, I can accommodate. Keep it simple, let's not complicate. I'm always dizzer at our dinner dates. She have to pick between me and cheesecake. She choosing me. It's an easy decision, babe. Well, I can accommodate. Well, I can accommodate.
As you can hear, the vocals become more aggressive, but also more present, more like in your face, which is something very common in pop music. Let's move on to the next one, which is Waves Vitamin. For those who know me as a sound engineer, you know that I love this plugin because it can create some really unique results that no other plugin can give you. This very special plugin can be seen as a multiband harmonic enhancer. It is super simple to use and very intuitive. All you have to remember is that each fader or slider corresponds to a frequency band. When you push a certain fader, the plugin will boost the harmonics of that frequency band. I usually love to use this plugin to give more air to my vocals. In fact, instead of boosting the high-end range with a simple EQ, I push the harmonics of that frequency band to get something super rich in terms of frequencies. Generally, in vocal mixing, I will first boost all the faders to about 20% of their capacity to enjoy this vitamin tone. Then I will push the air fader a bit more to open up my vocals, and also the mid-range fader to allow the vocals to cut through the mix. Let's hear what it creates on the vocals.
I'm always dizzer at our dinner dates. She have to pick between me and cheesecake. She choosing me. It's an easy decision, babe. Well, I can accommodate. Keep it simple, let's not complicate. I'm always dizzer at our dinner dates. She have to pick between me and cheesecake. She choosing me. It's an easy decision, babe. Well, I can accommodate. Keep it simple, let's not complicate. I'm always dizzer at our dinner dates. She have to pick between me and cheesecake. She choosing me. It's an easy decision, babe. Keep it simple, let's not complicate.
It's really a fantastic plugin to give richness to the vocals, honestly. Okay, and the last saturation plugin is FabFilter Saturn 2. This plugin is just amazing in terms of features and precision. You can really do anything with this plugin in your hands. But in vocal mixing, I use it in a very simplistic way. I usually start with the subtle tape presets. I boost the drive knob hard enough to hear the color and tone of the saturation. Then from there, I will adjust the mix knob to find the right balance between direct and saturated sounds. The purpose of this stage is to give the vocals some warmth, because as you may already know, tape saturation gives a very warm and full feel to the processed source. And this is what I'm looking for at this stage of the chain. Let me show you how it sounds.
Well, I can accommodate. Keep it simple, let's not complicate. I'm always dizzer at our dinner dates. She have to pick between me and cheesecake. She choosing me. It's an easy decision, babe. Well, I can accommodate. Keep it simple, let's not complicate. I'm always dizzer at our dinner dates. She have to pick between me and cheesecake. She choosing me. It's an easy decision, babe. Well, I can accommodate. Keep it simple, let's not complicate. I'm always dizzer at our dinner dates. She have to pick between me and cheesecake. She choosing me. Well, I can accommodate. She have to pick between me and cheesecake. She choosing me.
I think you can also feel this warmth coming out, but also this kind of closeness, which is really pleasant. Alright, let's do a before and after process so you can really hear what saturation brings to the vocals.
Well, I can accommodate. Keep it simple, let's not complicate. I'm always dizzer at our dinner dates. She have to pick between me and cheesecake. She choosing me. It's an easy decision, babe.
I don't know what you think of what you're hearing, but Come on, it's so amazing what saturation brings to the vocals in terms of power, robustness, stability, and most importantly, in terms of harmonic richness. In vocal mixing, I'm convinced that vocals that are too clean can quickly become boring and flat. You know, this kind of dirt makes the mix much more exciting. And that's exactly what we're looking for in vocal mixing, is to make our audience feel that power in the vocals. So that was the reason why you should use saturation on your vocals. That is it for this video on saturation in vocal mixing. If you have any questions about saturation or about anything in the field of vocal mixing, make sure to post them in the comments. I will be very happy to answer them as soon as I can. Also, before you leave, don't forget to drop your like and to subscribe to the channel if you want to watch more content like this one. See ya, bye-bye.